have Vikash from Cred. He's been an AppsFlyer champ for, I think, more than 7 years now. Prior to this at Dream 11 and then nearby. It's a lovely pleasure to have you here.
First of all, thanks to AppsFlyer and thanks, Pranav, for having me here today. Very excited to be here. Just to give a brief introduction about myself, my name is Vikash. By now, everyone would have find out. But I've been in marketing and growth space for close to a decade now. Currently, I do marketing and growth at Cred. Prior to that, I was with Dream 11 and nearby.com or Groupon India, as some would have, some people would have remember, right? Yeah, but now also I've now worked across multiple facets of marketing, from let's say performance marketing to middle of the funnel content creation, conversation creation, to now also doing branding, building brand for Cred, right? So, but essentially, if you look at deep down in my heart, I am somebody who gets excited by data and technology, and I truly believe that they move needle for marketers and companies, right? And that's why I'm very excited to share some of those learnings that I've had over the years, and specifically at Cred, some of them with everyone, and hopefully that's useful for everyone.
Yeah, Cred has some uniquely quirky marketing strategies. I think one thing is Indranagar ka Gunda. So I love the fact that we are able to meet the brains behind it. So all of it looks super fancy on the outside. Tell us a little bit about the challenge that Cred has, the challenge that you have on a day-to-day basis, and how you sort of look at how to overcome them.
Understood. So basically, let me talk about Cred for people who are not familiar.
Yeah.
Cred is a community of creditworthy and trustworthy people. We are a fintech platform, but in our current form factor. But for our users, we are a lifestyle enabler. We are basically help our members kind of manage their finances, earn rewards, and get access to exclusive benefits, right? And the Cred vision and the mission to basically reward good financial behavior, right? So that's what we kind of ultimately started to do, started with, right? So that's a little bit about Cred. In terms of business problem, let me kind of give you a little background. So Cred has a lot of product offerings, like AppsFlyer, somebody was showing in the slide, a lot of,
yes.
We are very similar in that sense that we have a lot of products, to name a few, like you have bill payments, you have normal payments, you have UPI, you have Garage, you have Cred Mint, investment solutions, right? A lot of those products, right? And the basic problem becomes like, how do you kind of, to a very small, trustworthy, creditworthy people, very small base, how do you kind of make them adopt each of these products, right? Just to kind of give you a brief demonstration, quick poll, show of hands. How many of you know about Cred here? Yeah, quite.
Almost everyone, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of folks, thank you. How many of you use Cred for doing any kind of payments, bill payments, or anything like that? Yeah, so still.
Sizable.
Sizable. How many of you use Cred as your default UPI app? Yes, a lot lesser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is exactly the problem, that how do you kind of, whenever you, with time you're launching new products, how do you make sure that every one of those who are aware of Cred, or you're using Cred for one of the use cases, how do they use it for the use cases also, right? So our objective of becoming like a one-stop solution for our members, so that they can progress financially. And for us, it's also, for them it's convenience, for the members it's convenience, for us it's give us the opportunity to kind of cross-sell, right? And and deepen the relationship with them, like increase engagement, right? Unless you do that, you cannot actually cross-sell, right? You can't be just one day simple like, hey, I'm launching this, please buy from me, right? You have to build a relationship with them before you start selling to them, or before they themselves come back and say that I want to buy this, right? So that's the objective, right? That was the objective. What was happening was because basically that, and Cred being a complex organization and a big organization, everyone from the product team to the campaign teams to the marketing teams, everyone is trying to do something to move that metric, but nobody knows how to move, what is moving what, and how to move that. Like, what do we do more of, which will create this impact and kind of not get lost in this entire thing of whose campaign or which channel or which communication is actually driving the end results, right? And how do you double down on those channels and those campaigns and those communications?
Got it. Got it. So if I heard you right, you're saying there are two challenges actually. Marketing to certain cohorts and getting them to adopt a certain offering, perhaps, and then maybe even measuring it. Like, what is the incremental impact of these campaigns on that adoption of features? By the way, we at AppsFlyer also, as you said, we look at feature-wise adoption very strongly. So that's interesting. How did you go about
Yeah,
doing
so
that?
if you hit the nail on the head, it's actually two problems, not one.
Sure.
One is basically what do you do, right? And how do you test your hypothesis? There are a lot of insights, there are a lot of hypotheses that you want to test. And the second is, how do you measure? How do you isolate that, hey, this is working, this is not working? So one is testing, second one is measuring, right? So
Right.
we looked at a lot of solutions in the product. There are a lot of material on the internet of how to do this, right? A lot of thought processes, a lot of blogs, and a lot of people talking about A/B test, incrementality, measurement, doing, let's say, multivariate tests, right?
Sure.
Uh, Surprisingly, there didn't exist any product which kind of helped doing that, right? Everyone has a product, but in silos, and I think we talked about
Like lift
silos.
studies
yes.
and all of that.
Yeah, so lift study, conversion lift studies, brand lift study, and all of those. There's no product which kind of does the end-to-end job for you, right? So for example, and this is what we did, basically we kind of looked at AppsFlyer module of audiences and incrementality. What you could do basically is create audiences in AppsFlyer. Not just that, you could use your analytics tool. So for example, we use Mixpanel. We also have our in-house database, data lake of, let's say, in BigQuery or in, let's say, Redshift or in Databricks.
Sure.
You can create audiences on the fly from them and pass it on to AppsFlyer. And then now AppsFlyer does the job of syncing it with all your ad networks, right?
Yep.
So you don't have to individually upload to each of these and kind of be careful of the control group is not polluted by and somebody kind of those are not getting mixed, right? So
Yep.
all of these things get taken care of by AppsFlyer. The best part was obviously that once you have run the campaigns and basically tried, let's say, multiple hypotheses, you can actually measure of what's happening, right? And for that, you didn't have to go anywhere else. You could all do at one single dashboard within AppsFlyer, calculate how much was the incrementality, what was the cost of incremental impact that you created, right? So actually, you could put a number. So I could have like a very easy answer to when somebody is asking, what was the impact of this campaign? I had to no longer rely to, let's say, to say attributed cost of conversion, but it's more like this is the actual incremental cost of conversion. If you want to do this, this is what is this kind of campaign will bring for you, right? So that is what ended up happening, and that's what the solution that we ended up going forward with.
Wow, I think firstly, thanks. We were glad that we were able to productionize a tool that saved you from going back to your developers, going back to your data engineering and BI teams. So that's good to hear. Maybe a couple more examples of how or the hypothesis that you tested, maybe anecdotal hypothesis that we would relate to.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope everyone remembers the Cred Garage launch somewhere around November, right? And like within a month of launch, we had almost 1 million users onboarded on Cred Garage, right? What we tested is, let's say, one of the very anecdotal kind of examples is like we figured out that people who spend on FASTag or people who spend for fuel, other people would more likely to have vehicles, right? So you don't want to target everyone in your base, but you could selectively target people who are doing these kind of spends in real time and then reach in some shape or format in terms of some communication to them that, hey, why don't you onboard your vehicle on Garage and kind of manage it from there, right? So that was one, again, you could actually test it. So if you're doing it on, let's say, Google or Facebook or any direct media bodies like Truecaller, if you're running this campaign, so you can actually test which campaign, what communication, which channel is bringing incremental impact. And then you can do this testing overnight. You will start to see the data. You don't have to go back to your, like you said, your engineers to churn out, to basically set this up for you. You don't have to go to your analytics team to basically figure out what actually happened, right? You could see all of this in real time, right? And we were able to, then after that, what ended up happening is that A/B test incrementality for especially re-engagement campaigns became a de facto standard at Cred. And we no longer say that, hey, cost of attributed CAC is this much or cost of attributed adoption is this much. We always talk in incrementality, that this campaign brought in this much incrementality, right? So that became a de facto standard, and we still continue to follow that, that approach even today. Yeah, and this is more from re-engagement, but we are now hoping, and I think there are enough representation in this room to kind of do this for user acquisition campaigns also, for all the new users. So how do you kind of basically look at incrementality for new user acquisitions? Yeah,
Right. Right. I think incrementality for retargeting is something that we've tried over the last 1.5 years. And today, it's good that you brought it up. Today, we'll probably think of doing that for user acquisition as well. And of course, you will be the first one to get the invite when we are there. Thank you. Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you.
I think one concluding note to all of us is that all three case studies or sprints that we had here eventually went down the route of using data, leveraging data, and overcoming the business challenges they had. All three of them are available through today and tomorrow during all of the dinners that we have, so feel free to pick their brains. And thank you so much for the engagement and the attention. Very good pleasure to have you, Vikas. Have a great day ahead, guys. Thank you.